doing a flip through of my bullet journal here. This is my reading journal, so I'm going to be tracking a whole bunch of stats and what I've read for the year, and I have monthly spreads as well. So it's not completely set up yet, but I did want to go ahead and share at least the yearly spreads that I've already have done and share that with you today. So this is an Archer and Olive journal. This is my first time having one, but the pages are just so thick and wonderful that it just is a bullet journal dream. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and get started here with a flip through. So first and foremost, we have our title page here. I love cats, so I have a little stamp and then my name. And then first up, we just have like a moon cycle. I am going to do some type of title page here. I just haven't had the inspiration to do that yet. And then my first page is really just this is my index. So want to just be able to reference like what page number everything is on. So in case I need to come back and reference like where everything is and where I've put stuff, I have my index here. I'll be filling out this side just as we go. I only have up to February set up for my monthly spreads. And then I don't even have the last few pages down here on my index. So I'll get that updated as well. And then next up, we have my reference page on this side. Pay no attention to this side. This is like a work in progress page here. I don't know what I want to do here. But we do have my reference page over here. So I am going to be doing book title covers here. So I have it mapped out exactly the dimensions, you know, how many squares each one of those is going to be for reference here. I have my rating system here. So we have my 1 star, my 2 stars, my 3 stars, my 4, and my 5. I'll be color coordinating as we go through the whole journal, making sure to keep my rating scale the same. I have my series and my backlist, which I will show you. I have a couple of accent colors that I'm going to be using throughout my journal as well. And then also just a reference of how many dots are down, and then to the left and right here as well. This, I actually think I'm going to do as my most anticipated releases. So you can see I've kind of jotted down those here. Stay tuned for that. Next up, we have my 2022 goals here. So my goal is to read 100 books. I have 100 squares here. Again, my rating system for reference. I've already read 3 books for the year. So we have book 1, book 2, book 3, and then we'll kind of continue going through. And then I have a little bookshelf here. I haven't finished filling in the bookshelf with all the books that I'm going to do for the year. I just kind of got it going, and then I'm just coloring in again based on my rating here so I can have like a nice pretty little bookshelf. And then next we have yearly statistics. So basically what I'll be tracking throughout the whole year as I go through each month is how many books did I read will be in column 1, how many pages was it, how many owned books did I read? How many library books did I read? I have 2 little columns here, one for male, one for female. I don't really know if I like that anymore because I'd like to be able to track, like different genders besides our 2 normal ones, but so far I'm just going to keep that in there. Then we have BIPOC, LGBTQ+, white. Nothing here yet, so I might do something else if I had any rereads, and then 5-star reads. So I'll keep track of those throughout the whole year and then total them up as we get to the end of the year. So it's one of my first yearly spread. And then I have a monthly reads spread as well. So essentially what I will do, however many books I end up reading for the month, I will color in. I'll make little boxes and color in, how many 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5-star reads I have. So it'll just be pretty colorful for each month of the year, kind of just another monthly visual representation of what I've read. And then next up we have 5-star reads. I already have one here, so I'll put the cover in here, but I have my 5-star reads that I'm just going to kind of post the cover here in each little slot. So I'll have a nice little visual of all my 5-star reads and can see the cover right away. And I believe I have a halfway top 12 and a yearly top 12. So at the end of June, I'll come through and I will do my halfway top 12, and then from that and the rest of the year I'll do a yearly top 12 to kind of narrow down my favorite books of the year. Next up I have my book of the month spread here. So I will, every single month, I'll write down the month and what book I got by the author, and then when I read it. Same thing for my fairy loot box that I get every single month. I'm going to go through and put the date of what book I got, and then, you know, when I read it. Next up, I have my first challenge, which is 22 books to be read in 2022. So again, I've listed 11 here and 11 here. I have the little stars beside it. So as I finish, I'll mark it off and put my star rating beside. This is all of the books that I would love to be able to get off of my TBR. They've all been on there for quite some time. So I do have this filled out with these 22 books. Next up, now we're getting really into all the challenges here. So I have a rad reading challenge. Like I said, most of these spreads came from Rachel over at All the Rad Reads. So anyway, I grabbed her challenge from last year. I didn't get the 2022 one, but I did grab her 2021. And so I have 9 prompts here that I will just fill in with the books that I choose to complete this challenge. I also have the alphabet challenge. You can see like I've already started with my 3 books that I've read this year, but essentially the goal is to read 26 books all, you know, to get all of your letters. And then my next challenge that I have is the Book of the Month challenge. So on the Book of the Month app, you can definitely complete these challenges, but essentially we have 12 books, so, you know, one for each month. So once I get that going, we'll go here. And then we have the genre genie, so 5 different genres. Like hopefully I'll be picking books throughout the month that fill this. And then also the debut darling, which is 3 debut authors. Goal is to pick 3 debut artists of my 12 books for the year. I also have the buzzword challenge. So each month has a different buzzword here. So the goal is to read a book that fits all of these buzzwords. I'm just gonna put the cover in here for whichever I choose for the buzzwords. Next up, we have the unread shelf. So essentially this is 25 different prompts. Just again to kind of get me going to completing that TBR and hopefully have less on my TBR than I currently have. So I have 25 different prompts here. It's kind of bingo, book bingo here. So all 25 of these just correlate to one of these prompts here. I already have my 3 books that I've read this year so far filled in here, and then I do have my star rating that I've colored in. Instead of like going through the whole thing and like marking it off, I wanted to still be able to see the prompts, so I left those in there and just did the color for the star rating beside each one. And then I'll have the list here of the books that I read to fulfill the prompts over here. Next up, we have my book buying ban challenge. So this one is new. I just plopped this one in, but essentially I have so many books that I need to read, and so I made a deal with the devil, a deal with myself to just help myself from frivolously buying books. I have the Libby app, I have the Scribd app, I have Kindle Unlimited. There's just absolutely no reason for my owned physical TBR to be so out of control right now. There's no reason. So basically I have made a deal with myself. This is going to be for the first 6 months of the year, and then I'll probably put another spread in. But essentially what I want to do is give myself a dollar amount associated with the books that I do read. So in order to be able to purchase more books, I have to read a book. So if the book is less than 300 pages, I will get $2 for that book. The majority of the books that I read are in this range, which is why there's more in this middle section, but 300 to 499 pages, $3 a book. And then any book that I read that's over 500 pages is $5 a book. And then the way that I'm kind of crossing them off to let myself know that, hey, you earned this money, it's eligible for you, it's just the color star rating that the book was, and I'll fill it in. Once I have, if I utilize this $11 that I have right now, the 5 and the 2 3s, I'm actually going to go through with a little X to mark it off so that I'm not just sitting here constantly saying that I have money to spend on books. So we're going to give this a try. Hopefully this works. I've tried making deals with myself in the past and I never stick to it. I'm hopefully now that I have like an actual visual representation of how much money I've earned for books, I will actually stick to it. So stay tuned for that. Let's see, next up, we're going to be getting into my book club's backlist and series. So new tab here. So we're out of the yearly spreads, monthly spreads, and challenges, moving into these 3 items here. So first and foremost is book clubs. So Greenhouse, now this is Sydney from Sid Bookworm channel. I am a part of her Patreon, so we always do a book club read, and we have a couple of buddy reads going as well. So over here I am putting the cover of the book that we're choosing for each month so I can keep track of, and then any buddy reads or other series alongs that we're kind of doing where we like to read them together, I'm going to keep track of them over here. So for January, the book club pick is All of Us Villains, but we are also kind of reading Jade City and Sword of Kagan together. We have a couple of threads in the Discord so we can keep up with that. So essentially have that all here. I'll do my star rating and notate when I read it if I actually read it in the month that it's picked. And then moving right along, I have Ashley from A Frolic Through Fiction, her book club. I am also a part of her Patreon, and so she does a book club as well that I typically try to participate in. So this month for January, February, there's 2 books for January actually, and that is Sorcery of Thorns and The Poppy War. I've actually already read both of those, so I didn't post anything in here. Hopefully the February book that we choose will be something that I haven't read before, and I'll plop that right in there and notate that it's for February. So I'll keep track of her book club books here. And then over on this side for How to Train Your Gavin book club, I'm also a Patreon of his, love him so much. So this is where I'm going to be keeping track of the book club books for his channel. Now it's really cool because he does middle grade and YA/adult, so there's typically always 2 books for each month. So in January it's The Hat Makers by Tasman Merchant, and then also J City 5 Fonda Lee. Again, I'll put the month here where it was picked, the star rating, and when I actually completed reading it. And now we move into backlists. So my biggest backlist is Brandon Sanderson here. I really would love to read all of his books. So the check mark beside each one of these just indicates that I own that book. Obviously the star title here is the star in the title, so we'll have a star rating color based on my colors when I do complete the book, the title of the book, when I read it here. And then, so Brandon Sanderson, really want to work my way through him. We also have Riley Sager. I actually own all of these books, even though I've only read one of them. So hoping to get through this year as well. And then Stephen King. I haven't decided which books I want to read by him, but I do love him of the couple of books that I've read. So right now I just have Mr. Mercedes on here. I picked it up secondhand at a thrift store. So I went ahead and grabbed it because it sounds very interesting. Don't know if I'm going to do like the Dark Tower series. I might throw it back on here. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. He just has so many different works. I haven't decided exactly which ones I want to throw on this list, but I will populate that. Next up, we have John Gwynne, Have Malice and Shadow of the Gods, and I've already pre-ordered The Hunger of the Gods, so, but I actually never read anything by him yet, so hoping to do him. I left an extra spot here if I discover another author that I really want to start picking up and going through their backlist. And then I have V. Schwab. The only book that I have read by her thus far was An Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, and I loved it. 5 stars. It was magical. So right now I'm working on Vicious and Vengeful, but then I'll go into A Darker Shade of Magic. And then also I want to do read all of her, I think they're graphic novels or comics that she has as well. So I put all of those on there as well. And then after the backlist, we have series that I'd love to read and work my way through. So first and foremost, Realm of the Elderlings by Robin Hobb. All of the different books in that realm here. I have all of the Game of Thrones books that I am dying to read. I've seen the show. I've watched all of that. I'm super excited for the new show that's coming out. I already forgot the name of it. What's new? And then we also have The Chorus of Dragons by Jen Lyon. I only have the first book in the series, but I know Jade from JD Raid Reads picked up A Ruin of Kings kind of like sporadically, like on a whim, and absolutely loved them. Like flew through like the first 2 books, and I think she's on the 3rd book now. So excited to pick those up. And then also The Greycoats by Sebastian de Castile, the author. I want to read the Greycoat series, so that's Traitor's Blade, starting with Traitor's Blade. I don't own any of those quite yet, but would love to give it a try. And then I kept a couple of blank pages here just in case there's some other series that I discover that I want to continue on with. My goal this year is really to get into epic fantasy, and so I know some of those books have a lot of books in those series that have already been completed, so I did leave a couple of pages in the event that I have some more that I want to add. And then next up is going to get into my monthly spreads, so I'll go ahead and share my January and February spreads with you guys for today. So essentially I have my title page here. I'm definitely trying to keep the theme of my bullet journal very like celestial. So I have my Sagittarius constellation here. My idea, my thought process here is I have my TBR here with all the pictures of the book covers of the books that I'm going to be reading. And then I always keep a stack. So when I finish a book, I kind of stack the books on top. So I want to do like a little Polaroid here of what I actually read. And that way I can kind of compare like what was on my TBR versus what I actually read that month, and does this contain these books, or did I just completely go off the rails? So again, here's my TBR. I am going to have a TBR game coming out starting in February, so that'll be how I choose my 5 books for the month. This month I just went ahead and chose the 5 books that I was most excited to get started on reading. I also have my book club books down here. Like I said, Frolic Through Fiction were books that I have already read before, so that's why this one's blank, and I just need Reckless Girls. I hadn't gotten that printed out yet, but my book club book reads will always be at the bottom as well. And I'm going to do 5 books a month because that's a very like realistic, attainable goal for me. Normally I always read more than that. I mean, again, my goal is 100 books for the year, so I need to read more than that, but 5 is kind of a good standard of picking and having that be what I feel obligated to read. And then as far as statistics go for the end of each month, I know I do have a monthly spread back at the beginning, but just to kind of keep track of everything here, I want to be able to just very easily come through and mark, you know, how many books did I read, how many pages, did I read multiple genders, any BIPOC, were they owned, were they from the library, were they rereads, and any 5 stars. So kind of the same information that I'll be tracking at the beginning of my bullet journal, but again, just to kind of keep track of it monthly here. And then I have like a nice little calendar of like, did I read? I kind of wanted to visually be able to see where and when I was reading and what I was reading when during the month. So basically, I just picked a couple of colors. I made some keys down here to basically be able to say like, okay, I read Lore Olympus on January 1st. It took me one day to literally blow through that book. And then Beautiful Nightmares by KJ Sutton. I read that from, you can see very easily, like I read that from the 4th to the 8th. Scythe. Homegirl's been reading that pretty consistently here. I started on the 2nd and 3rd. I read a little bit of the 8th. Still not done with it. I'm going to try to pick it up this week, so you'll see some more green down in here. Jade Fire Gold, read that over this weekend here, so you can see that. I do have some other books that I'm in the middle of right now, so I'll go ahead and fill those in so you can see when I was actually reading those. But I think this is kind of like a cute little graphic on seeing if I actually read. And then I have tabs on the side to like jump to each month. So next up is February. I've only just started this spread. So again, we have my February title. This constellation is for, I believe Aphrodite's is what I ended up going with. But I might have done something else and I need to put a little key underneath here so I can keep track of the constellations that I put in here. We have my little printout where I'll put my actual completed reads of the month. I'll fill out my TBR with my 5 little spots and my book club picks down here. And then same kind of spread thing, just like different themes that I have going on here. Again, still trying to keep with like that celestial kind of feel. But it is February, so I have my stats, I have Cupid's arrow, have all of those things, and then I'll go through and do my Did You Read? And then I believe I only have just started March here. So again, I'll do the same thing, pick a constellation, so on and so forth. And the last thing that I want to share is just because like I am a very visual person and I don't really know how I want to kind of sum up these stats at the end of the year, but I just want to have multiple places where I can track the same information, just different format. I'm just going to kind of keep a running list of all the books that I read throughout the year. So no star rating, no nothing, just kind of as it gets completed, it's going to go on here, and I have another page here, and if I need to keep going with it, you know, once I get to 72 books, hopefully here I'll go ahead and fill in the last page with the last little bit, but want to keep track of that. I think the only other thing that I'm thinking about doing that I created a tab for is readathons. Did a really fun readathon with Sydney, again at Sid Bookworm. Did a really fun read along 2 weekends ago with Sydney and her worms for the her Patreon. So I want to start doing like little graphics here on these empty pages for read-alongs that I participate in. So I think I'm going to keep this open so I can kind of take their template that they provide for said readathons and kind of plop it in here again, just so I can kind of keep track of exactly what I was reading and what I was reading it for. So with all that being said, we have come to the end. I keep all my little book covers in here. You can see, let me see if I can pull some of them out so you can just see that they're chilling in here. Probably need a better organization system in here, but I have multiple copies of each of the books just because, you know, like Lore Olympus here was a 4-star read, but maybe I'm gonna end up putting it somewhere else. So I print out 4 for each one, and then I have my little star stickers in here as well. So that is it for my flip through. If you guys have any questions, let me know. If you have any ideas of something that maybe I'm not tracking that you feel like would be something fun to track, or something that you track yourself, let me know, because I'm always down to grow this journal. Right now it's just kind of going to be filling it out from month to month and then doing my monthly spreads. So let me know if you have any suggestions, or honestly, like I am so freaking obsessed with looking at other people's bullet journals. So if you have a bullet journal yourself and you have a channel, please let me know. Just throw it in the comments and say, hey, I have this and I'm going to do a flip through of mine, because I will watch those all day long. So anyway, if you have some suggestions, something cool to track, something that you feel like I'm missing, or if you just are here and you don't know what to say, leave me a little cat emoji in the comments just to let me know that you were here. That is it for today, guys. Thanks so much for sticking around. If you liked the video, go ahead and hit that little thumbs up button and subscribe if you wanna. I'll see you next time in my next video. Bye.